An extraordinarily rare and extremely significant archaeological discovery has been unearthed in Jerusalem.
The Temple Mount in Jerusalem has never been excavated, but an illegal construction project 20 years ago opened the door to some major discoveries.
What happens when cutting-edge AI peers beneath one of the most sacred places on Earth? Deep beneath Jerusalem's Temple Mount, a site worshipped, feared and fought over for thousands of years, scientists recently uncovered something that left experts stunned into silence. Using advanced scanning technology, researchers may have revealed hidden structures buried beneath the holy hill where history, faith, and mystery collide. Some believe these underground secrets could rewrite what we know about the ancient world forever. But why has this ground remained untouchable for centuries? What lies beneath the stone pathways walked by prophets, kings, and conquerors? And why are so many people terrified of what might finally be discovered there? Tonight, we explore the forbidden history of the Temple Mount, the hidden tunnels beneath Jerusalem, and the discovery that has the entire world watching. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because the deeper this story goes, the more unbelievable it becomes. Historical background and the forbidden ground. The Temple Mount, known to Muslims as Haram al-Sharif, is far more than a hill in Jerusalem's old city. It is one of the holiest and most disputed places on earth, a place where faith, history, and politics have collided for centuries. For Muslims, this sacred site is believed to be the place where the Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven during the night journey. For Jews, it is the location where the first and second temples once stood, including the legendary Holy of Holies, the most sacred chamber in ancient Judaism. Because of this deep spiritual importance, every stone on the mount carries enormous meaning. For thousands of years, people have prayed here, fought wars over it, and wondered what may still be hidden beneath the surface. Yet unlike other famous archaeological sites around the world, the Temple Mount has remained almost completely untouched by excavation. Digging here is considered too dangerous, not physically, but politically and religiously. Back in the 1860s, a British explorer named Charles Warren came to Jerusalem searching for answers about the ancient temples described in biblical history. He knew openly excavating the Temple Mount would trigger outrage, so instead he explored underground. Armed with ropes, lanterns, and hand-drawn maps, Warren descended into dark tunnels, hidden chambers, and ancient water systems beneath the city. One of his most famous discoveries became known as Warren's Shaft, a deep underground passage that some historians believe may have been used by King David's soldiers to secretly enter Jerusalem thousands of years ago. His discoveries revealed that an enormous network of tunnels and hidden structures lies beneath the city. But even Warren could not touch the mount itself. Religious authorities and local rulers strictly protected the site, refusing to allow excavations on the sacred ground. Even then, people understood that disturbing the area could create enormous tension, and that situation has never truly changed. To this day, the Temple Mount remains one of the most restricted archaeological locations in the world. For many Jews, the Mount is the holiest place on earth. Because nobody knows the exact location of the Holy of Holies, some rabbis forbid Jews from even walking across certain parts of the site out of fear of accidentally stepping onto sacred ground. In that context, digging beneath the Mount becomes almost unimaginable. For Muslims, the site is equally sacred. It is home to the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock, and Islamic authorities have guarded the area for centuries. From their perspective, outside excavations could be seen not only as disrespectful, but as a direct threat to the holiness of the site itself. That is why archaeologists, even those with peaceful intentions, have never been given freedom to excavate there. The risks are simply too high. One mistake, one damaged stone, or even one controversial discovery could ignite worldwide tension, and religion is only part of the story. The Temple Mount is also one of the most politically sensitive places on Earth. Evidence connected to the ancient Jewish temples would hold enormous historical significance for Jews around the world. At the same time, Muslims see the Mount as a living symbol of their own sacred history and identity. Because of this, even scientific research can quickly become political. Since the Six-Day War in 1967, Israel has maintained security control over the area, while the Islamic Waqf continues managing the religious administration of the site. This fragile arrangement has helped prevent larger conflict for decades, but tensions remain extremely delicate. Even small changes to the status quo can trigger protests, violence, or international controversy. In this environment, archaeology becomes much more than science. An ancient coin, a broken piece of pottery, or a buried wall could instantly become part of a much larger battle over history, identity, and ownership. Every discovery carries enormous weight. That is why the Temple Mount has often been called the forbidden ground of archaeology. Unlike the pyramids of Egypt or the ruins of Petra, this sacred hill cannot simply be excavated with tools and machinery. Its secrets remain locked beneath layers of stone, soil, and centuries of conflict. For now, the Mount remains silent. It has witnessed empires rise and fall, invasions, prayers, and wars. It carries meaning for Jews, Muslims, and Christians alike. Beneath its surface may lie incredible pieces of human history. But above ground, faith and politics keep those mysteries sealed away. The Temple Mount is more than rock and earth. It represents belief, identity, and sacred memory. And until humanity finds a way to explore its hidden past without disturbing the fragile balance surrounding it, many of its deepest secrets may remain forever buried. But what if there was another way to investigate what lies beneath, without digging a single inch into the sacred ground? What if the soil itself had already begun telling its story? The Temple Mount Sifting Project. For decades, archaeologists believed the Temple Mount's secrets would remain permanently hidden. Excavation was impossible, and the political tension surrounding the site made direct research almost unthinkable. Then, in the late 1990s, something unexpected happened. During construction work carried out on the Temple Mount, massive amounts of soil were removed from the area. The problem was that no archaeologists were allowed to properly examine the material before it was taken away. Truckloads of dirt, containing possible historical artifacts, were dumped into the nearby Kidron Valley outside Jerusalem's Old City. To historians and archaeologists, it felt like priceless history had been thrown away like garbage. Ancient fragments that may have survived for thousands of years were suddenly scattered into piles of dirt and rubble. At first, it seemed like an irreversible loss, but a small group of researchers saw an opportunity hidden inside the disaster. If excavations on the Temple Mount itself were forbidden, perhaps the discarded soil could still reveal the Mount's hidden past. That idea led to the creation of one of the most unusual archaeological efforts in modern history. In 2004, two archaeologists launched what became known as the Temple Mount Sifting Project. In 2004, archaeologists Gabriel Barkay and Zachi Dvira launched an extraordinary effort known as the Temple Mount Sifting Project. Their goal was simple but ambitious: to recover historical evidence hidden inside the soil removed from the Temple Mount. But this was not a normal archaeological dig. Since excavation on the mount itself was impossible, the team transported the discarded soil to a public site in Jerusalem and transformed it into an open-air research project. Instead of excavating underground, they searched through the dumped earth one bucket at a time. The method was surprisingly straightforward. Soil was poured onto large mesh screens, washed carefully with water, and examined by hand. Volunteers searched through the mud for anything unusual: fragments of pottery, ancient glass, pieces of bone, coins, or metal artifacts. Every object, no matter how small, was catalogued and studied. What made the project truly unique was that anyone could participate. Families, tourists, students, and local residents all joined the effort. School children sometimes discovered ancient coins. Travelers uncovered pottery untouched for centuries. Ordinary people suddenly found themselves holding pieces of Jerusalem's forgotten past. And the results were incredible. Over the years, the project recovered more than 500,000 artifacts. Together, they painted a detailed picture of life around the Temple Mount across thousands of years. Many discoveries dated back to the First Temple period, traditionally linked to the time of Solomon's Temple. Archaeologists found cooking vessels, storage jars, ancient oil lamps, and fragments connected to religious ceremonies. Among the most remarkable discoveries were tiny clay seal impressions known as buli. Some carried ancient Hebrew names connected to priestly families mentioned in biblical texts, creating direct links to people who may have once served at the temple itself. Then came another astonishing find: a tiny ivory comb engraved with one of the earliest known Canaanite inscriptions ever discovered. The inscription spoke about removing lice from hair, a surprisingly ordinary message that revealed intimate details about daily life thousands of years ago. The project also uncovered ritual objects, including bronze incense shovels, likely used during sacred ceremonies. These artifacts offered rare glimpses into religious practices tied to the area surrounding the mount. Slowly, the discarded soil began telling its story. Every broken shard, every fragment of glass, and every ancient coin revealed another chapter of Jerusalem's past. The discoveries stretched across countless civilizations: Israelite, Babylonian, Greek, Roman, Byzantine, Islamic, Crusader, and Ottoman. Together, they proved one thing clearly: the Temple Mount had never been an empty hill. For thousands of years, it had been filled with worship, trade, political power, and everyday human life. But the project's greatest achievement was not only the artifacts themselves. It changed how people experienced archaeology. Instead of history being hidden away inside museums and laboratories, ordinary people became part of the discovery process. A child could uncover a coin once carried by a Roman soldier. A visitor could hold pottery from the Age of Kings. History suddenly felt alive and personal. The project also demonstrated something important about science and conflict. Even when politics blocked direct excavation, researchers still found another path forward. The mount itself remained untouched, yet its soil continued to reveal hidden truths. The discoveries confirmed several major ideas. They showed that the Temple Mount had been an active center of life and worship for thousands of years. They supported historical accounts connected to the First and Second Temples in Jewish tradition, and they revealed evidence from many different cultures and religions, proving that Jerusalem had long stood at the crossroads of civilizations. In an unexpected way, the project also brought people together. Volunteers from different countries, religions, and backgrounds worked side by side, searching through the same soil and uncovering the same history. The past no longer belonged to one group alone. It became something shared. What began as a careless dumping of soil in the late 1990s eventually turned into one of the most important archaeological efforts in modern Jerusalem. Instead of being lost forever, hundreds of thousands of artifacts were rescued and studied. Together, they told stories of priests and kings, merchants and families, worship and survival. The Temple Mount itself may still remain forbidden ground, but through its discarded soil, the hill had already begun to speak, and its message was undeniable. This sacred place had always been alive with history, faith, and human civilization. Yet even after 500,000 discoveries, the greatest mysteries still remained hidden deep underground, waiting for a completely different kind of explorer, one that did not need shovels, drills, or excavation tools. AI-assisted investigation. For over 100 years, archaeologists had been unable to excavate beneath the Temple Mount. The religious sensitivity of the site, combined with political tensions and fears of conflict, kept the sacred ground beyond reach. But technology was changing the rules. Between 2021 and 2024, researchers began using advanced scanning systems combined with artificial intelligence to investigate what might lie beneath the mount, all without disturbing a single stone. The process relied on ground-penetrating radar, historical records, and modern AI analysis. Ground-penetrating radar works by sending signals deep into the earth. As those signals bounce back, computers convert the reflections into underground images, almost like creating an X-ray of the soil and rock below. On its own, radar technology has limitations, but artificial intelligence dramatically improved the process. AI systems could quickly compare radar scans with historical maps, including detailed British Mandate-era surveys from the early 20th century. Those old maps contained clues about ancient tunnels, cisterns, and buried structures beneath Jerusalem. As researchers layered the scans over the historical maps, hidden details slowly emerged. Similar methods had already produced fascinating results in Egypt, where scientists used AI and radar to identify hidden spaces inside ancient pyramids without damaging them. But applying the same techniques to the Temple Mount carried far greater sensitivity. Every new discovery had to be handled carefully because even discussing underground structures beneath the site could create international controversy. What the scans revealed surprised many experts. Beneath the mount, radar detected sharply defined underground formations, straight walls, angled corridors, and large hollow spaces that did not appear natural. These patterns strongly suggested human-made construction rather than random cracks in the rock. Some structures matched locations recorded on old British Mandate maps, confirming that the technology was accurately identifying known underground features. But other discoveries were completely new. The scans appeared to reveal previously undocumented chambers and narrow passageways hidden beneath the sacred hill. Some voids were large enough to be rooms connected by corridors stretching through the underground layers of Jerusalem. No one yet knows exactly what these hidden spaces contain. They may be ancient storage chambers, forgotten tunnels, buried infrastructure, or perhaps remnants connected to earlier historical structures described in religious tradition. Most importantly, none of this required excavation. No stone was removed. No soil was disturbed. The entire investigation was carried out through remote scanning and AI analysis alone, through mapping, digital modeling, and advanced computing. In a place where physical excavation is nearly impossible, This marked a historic breakthrough. For the first time, researchers could investigate the hidden layers beneath the Temple Mount without disturbing the sacred ground or triggering conflict. The AI-assisted surveys conducted between 2021 and 2024 did not solve every mystery surrounding the Mount, but they opened an entirely new era of exploration. They proved that modern technology could achieve what traditional archaeology never could. Hidden structures could now be studied without lifting a single stone, and even the world's most protected ground could begin revealing its past. What happens next depends on how carefully these discoveries are handled. Beneath the Mount, the hidden chambers and underground passages still remain sealed, silent, and unexplored. Yet for the first time in history, humanity has caught a clear digital glimpse beneath one of the most contested sacred sites on Earth. But the scans raised an even bigger question. If hidden rooms truly existed beneath the Temple Mount, what was waiting inside them? What had remained buried and untouched for thousands of years? The underground discoveries, the investigations carried out from 2021 to 2024, revealed far more than researchers expected. For centuries, the Temple Mount had been surrounded by mystery, speculation, and religious tradition. Now, using artificial intelligence and ground-penetrating radar, scientists were finally able to peer beneath the sacred hill without excavation. And what they found was astonishing. The underground structures hinted at centuries of faith, rebuilding, engineering, and human devotion layered beneath the Mount. One of the earliest discoveries appeared to be a small Byzantine-era chapel hidden deep underground. Dating to roughly the 4th or 5th century, the structure likely came from the period when Christianity spread across the Roman Empire. Radar images showed defined walls, curved prayer spaces, and faint markings resembling carved crosses. Researchers also identified traces of Greek inscriptions, suggesting Christian pilgrims may once have gathered there in worship. The discovery revealed something important. Throughout history, the Temple Mount had not belonged spiritually to only one faith. Jews, Christians, and Muslims had all considered this hill sacred at different points in time. But beneath the Byzantine remains, the scans revealed something even older. Deep below the later structures, researchers detected enormous ashlar stone blocks, massive, carefully cut stones commonly associated with monumental ancient construction. Their style closely resembled masonry, linked to the era traditionally associated with Solomon's Temple. What made the discovery even more significant was the depth of the stones. These foundations appeared to predate the massive renovations carried out by King Herod centuries later. In other words, the structures may have belonged to an earlier phase of the Mount's history, possibly connected to the First Temple period itself. For many scholars, this was one of the most dramatic findings of all. Physical evidence connected to the First Temple has long been one of archaeology's greatest debates. Now, advanced underground imaging seemed to support the possibility that remains from that era still survive beneath the Mount. The scans also uncovered an enormous underground water network. Beneath the platform lay a maze of cisterns, tunnels, aqueducts, and channels stretching beneath the hill like veins beneath skin. The scale of the system stunned researchers. Far from being primitive, the network appeared highly advanced and carefully engineered. Water channels directed flow into underground reservoirs, while interconnected systems controlled pressure and distribution. Some tunnels even appeared to bring water from distant sources into the sacred complex. Experts described the system as an extraordinary feat of ancient engineering, far ahead of its time. Mineral analysis from parts of the channels suggested that sections of the system may date back to the 8th or 9th centuries BCE, the period associated with the kings of Judah and the First Temple era. The purpose of such a massive water system may have been deeply connected to temple rituals. Ancient ceremonies required enormous quantities of water for purification, washing, and sacrifice. Priests, sacred objects, and ritual spaces all needed cleansing according to religious law. The underground infrastructure appeared perfectly designed to support those ceremonial needs. This was not simply a water supply system for survival. It was built around worship itself. Among the most remarkable discoveries was what appeared to be a large ceremonial basin hidden beneath the mount. Radar scans revealed a broad carved structure with sloping sides and a flat base. Researchers also identified traces of ash within the basin, leading some scholars to believe it may have been connected to sacrificial purification rituals. The discovery painted a vivid image of ancient temple life. Priests may once have prepared offerings there, while worshippers gathered nearby during sacred ceremonies. The basin was more than stone. It was a physical reminder of rituals performed thousands of years ago. Together, the discoveries revealed a hill layered with history. The Byzantine chapel and Greek inscriptions spoke of Christian Jerusalem. The giant ashlar stones pointed toward the ancient world of the First Temple. The vast underground water system demonstrated the brilliance of ancient engineers, and the ceremonial basin hinted at the sacred rituals that once defined life on the Mount. For thousands of years, the Temple Mount had protected its secrets beneath layers of stone and silence. Now, through science and technology, those hidden stories were beginning to emerge. Each discovery alone would have been extraordinary, but buried even deeper beneath the sacred hill was something that shocked researchers more than anything else. A discovery so mysterious that it left even experienced scientists stunned. The ultimate discovery, the sacred chamber. For generations, the Temple Mount had remained untouchable. No excavations, no digging, no invasive exploration. Only remote scans and artificial intelligence could investigate what lay below the sacred ground. Yet despite those limitations, one discovery stood above all the others. It was not another tunnel, reservoir, or buried wall. It was something far more mysterious. The discovery began when researchers noticed an unusual shape during scans near the southern edge of the mount. At first, it appeared to be nothing more than another underground wall. But when the AI system compared the data with old British Mandate-era maps, the image became clearer. Behind the wall appeared to be a sealed stone entrance. It seemed untouched for thousands of years. Beyond the entrance, scans revealed a perfectly circular chamber carved directly into the bedrock itself. Roughly 10 feet across, the chamber appeared unusually precise and symmetrical, suggesting deliberate construction rather than natural formation. The room showed no signs of collapse or destruction. It seemed preserved in silence beneath the mount. Inside the chamber, researchers detected several objects resting on the stone floor. At the center stood a large carved basin made from a single block of stone. Residue analysis suggested traces of ash, leading some experts to speculate that the basin may once have been connected to ritual burn offerings. Nearby, the scans identified ancient clay oil lamps. Their simple shapes still showed traces of soot, evidence that flames had once illuminated the underground chamber. Fragments resembling incense residue were also discovered, possibly the remains of aromatic resins.